Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Morfetto, and recently I released a video talking about the Alabasta Saga, the legendary Alabasta Saga. Such a good time. But I am very disappointed in myself because I accidentally skipped on by the Drum Island arc. And you gotta forgive me because the Drum Island arc really felt like its own story separate from the Alabasta Saga. Like, there was some parts that were intertwined, but really it had nothing to do with Baroque works. And I think that's where my mind was when I was doing the Alabasta Saga video. So today, right now, would like to talk about the Drum Island arc. And I think from this point going forward, I'm going to review the individual arcs and not just an entire saga. It just seems to be too much. Oda is so good at his job at writing manga that he puts so much stuff into sagas that it's almost impossible to recall everything based on memory alone. So it's probably best just to take it one step at a time. And we'll get more detail out of it in the long run. I gotta say this, the Drum Island arc deserves its own conversation because it's so good. This is the arc where we meet Chopper, our resident doctor. We finally get a doctor. It's so good. But let's start at the beginning. So we leave with Vivi. On our way to Alabasta, they run into Wapol, the villain of the Drum Island arc, but we didn't know that at first. We thought Wapol was just some weird pirate that happened to be roaming around the Grand Line, but really he became the main villain of this saga, so you can't ever look past that. One thing I'd like to bring up, at the beginning of this, when they first meet Wapol, they see Chess, one of Wapol's subordinates, like standing in the water, and it really looks like he's standing on top of the water. And maybe people are supposed to think that it's like a devil fruit ability, but I think he was just standing on the boat. That's what it looks like. It looks like he was just standing on the boat underwater. The boat was like a submarine type boat. It could go under and come up, I guess. It was kind of confusing, especially in the manga. They didn't really explain it too much, but I think it's just he was standing on the boat, which was underwater, and it was like a ploy to get people to come out and see him, so then they could ambush them with their army, I guess. Whatever. We meet Wapol and his crew, and these guys are most definitely the least, out of all the villains we've met so far, I've got to say, these guys are the least intimidating, and you can almost tell right off the bat after Luffy literally gum rockets Wapol across the ocean, and then they take off after him, that these guys aren't very threatening, which in my mind isn't a bad thing. It's nice that... One thing I don't like about some shonen anime, or just anime in general, is every arc they have to up the stakes. They have to make the villain that much stronger. But the honest truth is, there's gonna be villains out there that are weaker than the previous villains. That's what's... This world is huge. There's no way there was villains that are just happen to be stronger based on every island you move on to. I think it's smart to have these arcs that are more about character development, and have a villain, of course, a villain of this island, Drum Island, but he doesn't need to be as intimidating or as threatening or as powerful as Arlong or one of the Baroque work members we've met so far. No, this is great. I like the cartooniness of Wapol. I like the cartooniness of his crew, his right-hand man Chess, and the other guy with the afros and the afro boxing gloves. They're fine. It's great. They will fill that role. They've got that Team Rocket style villain, very goofy, very cartoony, Rocky Bullwinkle type villains. Fine with it. Wacky racers type villains, huh? So they find Drum Island, an island of snow, because Nami got sick while they were on the island of giants, and because her shirt was burned off, thanks to Mr. 3, whose candle wax lit on fire and whatnot. So her shirt got burned off, her stomach was exposed, and she got bit by some type of beetle, so she got sick. But we did not know that yet. She gets sick, people don't know what to do, but instead of heading straight to Alabasta, because it's going to take a while, they find Drum Island on the way. A snowy island, it snows there, I believe, year long, never stops snowing. I like it. I like the cold. Sounds great to me. A lot better than Alabasta. I'll tell you what, too dry for me. Too dry, too hot. I'd rather live on Drum Island, personally. We get there, we meet a man named Dalton, who seemingly is leading these people on Drum Island. We find out there's no doctors on this island. Oh, but before that, Dalton and his people don't trust pirates, which why would you? Why would you ever trust pirates? But they don't trust pirates because a pirate crew came there. Blackbeard's pirates came there at one point and caused some trouble, caused some havoc, probably murdered some people, raped and pillaged, all that stuff, I'm sure. And when that happened, Wapol, King Wapol of the Drum Island, took off, took his doctors, took his soldiers, and took his right and left-hand men and got the heck out of Dodge. But Dalton, who was in jail, stayed behind and helped fight back. I'm assuming either helped fight back or at least helped rebuild. Dalton used to work for Wapol, and I think he used to work for Wapol's father, whoever was the previous king, and he was a good king. Wapol's a piece of shit, which must have been years, because turns out Wapol also knew Vivi from years past when Vivi was just a child, and they were doing a get together of all the kings of the area. Vivi's dad, king of Alabasta, and Wapol's being a bit of a jerk face because he's the worst king alive. You know, he really reminds me of this. There's this Christmas movie, I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me, like Day Without a Santa Claus or something. And there's this evil king, he's like King Koopa or something. He reminds me of that guy. This whole story definitely kind of gives you the Christmas vibes, with how Chopper's a blue-nosed reindeer who wasn't allowed to play with the other reindeer. It was very sad, Chopper's backstory once we meet him. But before we even get to Chopper, Luffy, Sanji have to take Nami up the mountain to get to the giant castle on top of this Drum Island looking mountain thing. And they need to get up it because there's a castle up there, and the only doctor currently in Drum Island, Dr. Correa, this witch-like lady, lives up there, and she's the only doctor around because King Wapol took the only doctors, 20 doctors, and that's it. That was it. I'm surprised they didn't try to get somebody to become a doctor, find some books, start learning something, send somebody out on a boat to find a doctor that'll move there, pay him well. I mean, I don't know how long ago Blackbeard and his pirates had taken off. It must not have been that long because they haven't figured out this doctor issue yet. Yes, they have Dr. Correa, but she's kind of crazy. She's really good at her job, but she's a little crazy. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole arc, is Luffy and Sanji head up the mountain. They run into these bunny yetis, these bunny Bigfoots, and they have to kind of fight them, but Luffy can't fight because he's carrying Nami, so Sanji has to defend them. I thought this was a great moment. I thought it was really cool. I liked seeing Sanji get some action. He didn't get a lot of action in the last arc. He got to kick some ass. There was a funny part where this one baby bunny yeti was bouncing all around them, trying to bite them, and he just kicks them and says, "Get out of my way!" It was pretty funny. Sanji is one of my favorite characters, and Luffy being my favorite character, this was a great moment for both these people. By the way, Zoro is written out of the fight currently because he was still sort of recovering from almost cutting his ankles off, and he was supposed to watch the ship. But while watching the ship, he was training his body by swimming in the freezing Drum Island water and whatnot, thinking that he could do so. And that's why he wasn't around, just so you guys know. Which is good. I've noticed that Zoro is, a lot of the times, because he's so powerful, written off of the main story unless he's really needed, unless there's a villain that works for Zoro. I really like that we really don't know at this point if Zoro or Luffy is the strongest member of the crew. I love that. And I love that they're not really rivals. I love that Zoro was so devoted to Luffy. I think that it's kind of cool that it's ambiguous on which one's stronger. I've read that in some of the fans think that they are both equally strong in different ways, and they're suited to fight certain enemies. Like Zoro probably couldn't have beaten Crocodile, but Luffy might not have been able to beat number one. I don't know. There's a thing there. There's Mr. One. I really enjoy their dynamic. So Luffy and Sanji are heading up this mountain. These bunnies are being a bunch of bitches. Wapol and his crew show up to cause some havoc. Meanwhile, Dr. Kureha was shown off with Chopper for the first time, saving a little boy and taking half this man's money and whatnot, half of this man's stuff. It was interesting. It was nice seeing her. The thing about Dr. Kureha I really liked, I feel like she would have been a really cool crew member if the story went. She went with Luffy and the gang to be their doctor, and Chopper stayed on Drum Island to be their doctor and loved by all the people because he's so good at being a doctor and whatnot after training under Dr. Kureha. I think that would have been a cool story as well, because she would have not only brought another female onto the crew, but also she's very unique. I mean, how often do you see an elderly character as a main member of a group in a shonen anime? It's not. I mean, it's not too rare. It's like Master Roshi, Jiraiya, but I mean, she would have been a really fun character to be on the ship with them going forward. She's a little crazy, but I think she's so dynamic. She's so she's got a fiery personality. I think would have been really fun that intertwined with the crew. I'm not saying I don't love Chopper. I'm just saying I really like Dr. Kureha. She got that witch vibe. I thought that would have been a unique thing. Sadly, I was already spoiled because you see the Chopper is all over One Piece merchandise, so I knew Chopper would be joining the crew before we even got to this island. I knew at some point this blue-nosed reindeer was going to join the crew, and to be honest with you, when I saw just pictures of this guy, I thought, oh boy, this guy is going to be cringe-worthy. But turns out, no, he's got an amazing backstory. So Luffy and Sanji are dealing with these stupid-ass bunnies, these bitch-hole bunnies, that start an avalanche, a literal avalanche, while everybody's on the island. Also, Dalton is dealing with Wapol at some point and tries to kill him. In the manga, he literally cuts his head off and the 20 doctors attach it. I think in the anime, he just slashes him across the chest, but it was pretty epic. And I'm like, you can reattach somebody's head? Jesus. By the way, Wapol has the Munch Munch fruit, and he can eat anything. He eats houses, boats, smothered in butter or whatnot. Dalton also ate of devil fruit, where he can change into an ox-type man. And Chopper ate a human fruit, human fruit, so he can turn to a slight Yeti-type humanoid reindeer monster when at will, which is pretty dope. Chopper's fighting style is pretty fun, I have to say. Meanwhile, while Dalton's trying to deal with Wapple and his crew, and he gets shot by a couple arrows thanks to Chess trying to shoot at the people of Drum Island. The avalanche happens thanks to these bunnies, taking everybody out. Vivi and Usopp are out trying to find Luffy and Sanji because they find out Dr. Kureha might not be at the castle right now, and they need to turn back and go to town or something. They run into Zoro. It's really funny because you get to see Usopp all blown. He gets punched in the face or slapped in the face a bunch of times by Vivi because he starts falling asleep in the snow to keep him awake, and he gets this big puffed up head. It's really funny. Kind of reminds me of the Chris Farley moment in Tommy Boy when he gets hit across the face by David Spade's character, and they're in the restaurant, and he's like, "You sure that my face doesn't look weird?" Because he's like, "It doesn't hurt here so much, or here so much, but right here." But his face was blown up like a balloon. He kind of looked like a puffer fish. And it was really funny when they ran into Zoro, who had no clothes on, really, except for some pants, I believe. Because he was training in the ice snow, but he got hit by the avalanche and got lost because Zoro has terrible directions, I guess. Zoro, Usopp, and Vivi head to town where Dalton was, and they want to go help unbury Dalton because they know Dalton's a good fella, and he just got hit by some arrows, and he should probably be dead. And they see a bunch of these Wapple soldiers not letting them through. Zoro finds out, oh, these guys are bad guys. Usopp confirms, yes, they are the bad guys. Why does it matter? Zoro comes in like a badass, takes out the first guy and takes his jacket. Not really to help out, but to get his jacket because he was freezing. I thought that was pretty funny. Zoro, the rest of the army attempts to beat up Zoro. I believe Zoro uses some of their swords, takes them all out in a badass fashion. I don't think they even show him doing it in the manga. I think they do in the anime. But it was awesome. I love seeing Zoro in these like 100-on-1 fights. I hope it happens more and more often. It's so cool just seeing him when Zoro's in control. It is just a blast. And a sight to see. Luffy reaches the mountain, and he has to climb this mountain that's huge with his bare fingers that start bleeding. It's very inspirational. But the only thing that took me out of it was he had Nami and he had Sanji, and I don't think he mentions this, but he climbs this thing barehanded, bleeding from his fingertips. But I was like, can't he just use his gum stretching ability to get up the mountain? Can anybody in comments explain to me why he couldn't have stretched up the mountain a little easier than going one step at a time? The only explanation I have is he didn't want to do it because it could have been too jarring, too jerky for Nami, because sometimes when he launches himself, he kind of crashes, and if she had done that, she could have died. They make it to the top. Chopper finds them. Dr. Kureha finds them. Luffy's half dead. He's like, hey, you need to help my freaking friends. They help both Sanji and Luffy, who have broken body. I think Sanji had like broken ribs. Nami gets saved by Dr. Kureha, who explains the whole beetle that bit her in this prehistoric island they were on. Which is kind of crazy. And the fact that she kept a vial of this antidote was really interesting. Another thing that happens at some point during this arc, Dr. Kureha mentions Gold Roger's real name is Gold D. Roger. I could be wrong, but I swear to God she said Gold D. Roger. And to me, I couldn't believe I never saw it. Because originally when I saw that this guy was named Gold Roger, I'm like, what a stupid name. It's too gimmicky for me. But it finds out it's Gold D. Roger. Makes so much sense, and it was sitting right there for all of us to see. And now I have to ask the question, is Luffy related to Gold Roger? There's a D there. We also find out Luffy's got a brother named Ace. Porcus D. Ace. What's going on with this D thing? Is that their last name? Is that what connects them? I don't know. And I would like to know, is Gold D. There was at one point when I was thinking about it, I was like, man, and this could be just hypotheticals. Like, what if, because Gold D. Roger looks kind of like Luffy. What if Luffy finds the One Piece, finds some form of time travel and heads back in time and becomes Gold D. Roger and sets himself on his own reoccurring adventure? It'd be crazy. I could honestly see Oda ending the story involving time travel. It has giants and fishmen and God, it could happen. It could happen. There could be a time-traveling fruit out there that could make this happen, and I think that would be insane. And if anybody could pull it off, it would be Oda, the master of manga storytelling. Luffy tries to eat Chopper in a hilarious way. They find out Chopper can transform into this beast of a monster, and they think he's so cool. Luffy doesn't even know he's a doctor, but wants him to join his crew. He says no. Nami even tries to get Chopper to join the crew. It's really funny because Chopper can't accept compliments too well. I thought that was a funny little bit going on with him. I think it'll be reoccurring. Wapol and his two right and left hand men show up. Chess and what's-his-face with the afros. They show up. And we get the whole backstory of old Chopper and Dr. Hulerick. Dr. Hulerick's cool, kind of a weirdo, stealing people's money, turning people into frogs, weird shit like that. But he gets cancer or some form of cancer. That's what they seemed like they were showing us, at least in the flashbacks, and finds out he's only got a couple weeks before he dies. Chopper finds out, tries to heal him, finds a poisonous mushroom, thinking it's not poisonous because he sees the skull and crossbones, because Dr. Hulerick loves pirates. He loves the idea of pirates, and I can respect that. I love the idea, the freedom of being a pirate. I love that idea that he isn't really a pirate, but he's like a pirate doctor, sort of. And he wants Chopper to go live his own life, go out to sea, whatever, because he knows he's going to die, and he doesn't want Chopper to see him die. But Chopper finds this mushroom, makes him a poisonous mushroom soup, thinking it's going to cure him. It's a cure-all. Turns out he eats it just basically out of sympathy, I guess. I don't know why. Maybe he could have pretended to eat it, but it's great. And then had another 2 weeks to figure out his cherry blossom thing. Another thing, Dr. Hulerick wants to make cherry blossom bloom in the snow to make people feel better. He believes that the best medicine is just feeling good, and it's true. Some people can get beyond major medical issues by just feeling good. And the idea of cherry blossom blooming in a snowy island was like, if that impossibility can happen, then maybe we can cure the impossible, is what I got out of it. He gets tricked by Wapol. But this is all flashbacks, by the way, and they find out that the doctors are quote-unquote sick, but they aren't really the 20 doctors. Wapol goes up to the castle, gets shot down. This is what turns Dalton on Wapol, and he realizes how shitty of a king he is, and it all winds back to where we are right now. Luffy, Sanji, Chopper, Dr. Kureha, all kind of have a stare down with Wapol and his teammates, his guys, Chess, the bow and arrow fella, the afro fella. But I really enjoyed this fight. It was cartoony, it was fun. Wapol was able to use things he ate earlier in that day, houses, cannons and whatnot, and transform into this mech-like man. That was really cool. It was really a cartoony, fun fight, but at the same time, there were some serious moments. One of the major ones, one of the best pictures or scenes I've seen is when Luffy gets shot by a cannon off of Wapol, I believe, and he's holding this pirate flag on the top. I think he tried to protect the pirate flag from being shot by Wapol, which was dope. He was like, I'm not going to let this pirate flag fall. It means so much to me, even though it's not my pirate flag, but it meant something to somebody else, so I'm going to stand up for it. The idea of being a pirate. Very cool. The Fight goes down. Sanji isn't much help because I believe he's got some broken ribs. I'm glad they call back. A lot of things I really like about this show is they really call back to injuries from before. Some things that bug me, though, the fact that they don't, they get healed very quickly. A couple days later, they eat some meat, they're healed completely, and it kind of makes sense with Zoro, I guess, because he's just a badass incarnate. And Luffy, since he's a rubber man. But I mean, the other members of the crew kind of need to heal a little slower. But Sanji's a badass as well. So Sanji attempts to help, but he just can't do it. And even Dr. Krea's like, you need to chill out, bro. Chopper gets to take on Wapple's subordinates, who get fused together because Wapple eats them, chews them up, and spits them back out as one being, which was crazy. Very mech inspired, very Transformer, Power Rangers inspired. Wapple gets his ass handed to him by Luffy for the most part. At some point, Wapple eats himself and becomes a skinny Wapple. I think it was just to make himself faster. I can't remember. But it was a really interesting. The Munch Munch fruit is very interesting. This whole battle was dope because it really showed how badass of a fighter Chopper could be. I don't believe Chopper is in any way, shape, or form stronger than Sanji or Zoro or Luffy, but I believe he is up there with the ability, the fighting ability. I believe when he's transformed into his beast, Yeti-like form, when he's using his ability, when he's using his rumble balls, he is above Usopp at this point in the story. He's above Nami at this point in the story. He can contend with minor opponents, and I love that. I love that every member of this crew has a job. He's the doctor, Nami's the navigator, Usopp's the sniper, Sanji's the cook, Zoro's the right-hand man, the defender of the ship, defender of the captain, and Luffy is our captain. Not a perfect captain, but he's our captain. They get past these cartoony villains, which I want to repeat. I really enjoyed Wapple and his crew. They weren't much of a threat, and they weren't meant to be, but they were meant to be there to develop Chopper. They were meant to be there to develop all these characters that were in this world. We got to meet so much. We got to learn things about things coming forward with Blackbeard. We got to learn things coming forward with Gold D. Roger. Like I said, one thing that I would have preferred personally is I think it would have been cool to have Dr. Correa on the crew and Chopper to stay behind, but I get why people really like Chopper. He's a really cool mascot-y character, but he's also got a deep background, a deep backstory. So I'm not going to complain about that. I think it's great having Chopper, and I don't think it's a big deal because my favorite characters are already in the crew. Sanji, Zoro, Luffy. Boom. As long as they're on the crew, I'm a happy fella. Anybody else that joins is just gravy, baby. But right now, we've got a doctor. It's awesome. The rest, I've already reviewed the rest of the Alabasta saga, but this point in this, and I've heard that there's a movie about Drum Island that's a little different. I haven't seen that movie, but I hear it's pretty good. So if you don't want to go and watch the entire One Piece story, you can go watch the Drum Island episode of Chopper movie. It's up to you. But the story as itself is a great story. You don't have to watch all of One Piece to really appreciate this story. I'm really loving One Piece. It's slowly becoming one of my favorite animes of all time. I'm in a lot of ways, I'm sad that I didn't get to enjoy it in my childhood because I was busy watching Naruto, but I love Naruto, so I'm not saying I hate Naruto. I'm just saying that I should have spent more time with other animes and dipped my toes into One Piece. But at the same time, I might not have appreciated a lot of the story beats currently in my 30s that I appreciate here in this story. I think there's a lot of cartooniness to One Piece, but there's a lot of adult tones as well. I'm Mr. Morfetto. If you could please like, share, and comment on this video, it would really help me out. And please, please subscribe to my page, the Mr. Morfetto page, And I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers before the end of 2021. That's my goal, and I think I can hit it with your help. I'll talk to you later.